Hi, today my name is George Zanbaka from Zanbaka Building. Address here, job address is Unit 8, 47 Roscoe Street, Bondi. I've taken a job from Strata, concluded with the engineers at BCRP regarding the Magnesite ZAP, Magnesite strips, corrosion in the actual metal. This is the plan out that we've received from the actual engineer, how they wanted it laid out. First, we've basically removed the actual magnesite and then cleaned the actual floor best as possible. We found that a lot of the floor, there was a lot of holes and uneven surfaces in the actual concrete itself. Basically my recommendation, future reference, is basically to hone down all the surface. You get a better reaction between the paste and the zinc strip, plus you use less materials as well. It's a little bit untidy, but basically we had to apply a lot more paste for the actual strip to lay down. After the strips are actually laid down, gaps in between the strips between 100 to 120. Between 100 to 120, or the boundary 100 mil. As you can see, in some areas you're basically forced to lay an extra strip because you're beyond, or if there's incorrections or correcting somewhere between the actual borders, which is basically a wall dividing, we basically run another strip along against all the other strips, and we paste it down and solder the one zinc strip to the other. After that's all laid down, second procedure is off-site to make the potable connections. Potable connections is basically a 0.75 mil cable, copper, sheathed. Within the actual potable connection, it's a double sheathed, which I've applied a heat shrink with a gel, so it gave it more as a triple connection. Made the potable connections off-site, fitted them together in a conduit with a gel epoxy, and then obviously connected them with a nut, bolt, crimped, put it into a PVC pipe. One side has a 5 by 10 mil bar, nut and bolt together with the actual wire, and then soldered on top of that. Sunk into the actual PVC pipe conduit, and basically filled with epoxy as recommended by the engineer. All the wiring is sheathed at 0.75 mil. We can use the 0.6. Sometimes websites recommend the 5 amp, which is a bit smaller. As we've got here, silver solder. With the wire itself, we had to prefabricate the actual wire, split the actual wire into intersections in the right measurements as according to the strips laid on the floor. We basically bring all these back to site as the holes are made and pre-done after the floor is cleaned. Engineers basically present, scans where the actual bars are. We open up the actual holes, clean all around the actual metal. We use the multimeter to make sure, set on MV to check between the bars and the zinc strips applied. There's continually in the actual strips itself and between the bars, so there's nothing short circuit. We get the potable connections and basically weld the actual potable bar to the actual rear. The other side would have the actual wire sheathed, and then we basically connect that to the actual wire and solder again to the brazed and soldered to the zinc strip. As you can see, some areas where we've ran another strip and re-soldered it. We've basically looped the actual wire, so if one fails, the other one picks up. As there's in this room alone, there's 3 potable connections. Over to here, you get a better look at this one. It's a bit more of an example. These are the ones prefab. And then after welded and cleaned, it basically gets sprayed 2 coats with an epoxy, or a zinc epoxy, whatever is chosen to protect the actual wire, the solder, and the weld points from any future corrosion. The holes themselves, after all done, we check again with the multimeter to make sure we're getting continually with all the areas that we've done, and then we get the high build, with the high build, you can use it like a high build epoxy HP40 made by Parcham, or basically it's basically like a structural grout. And there's holes itself. The top layer itself, we basically apply the Ardex K15 Microtech for the actual floor, minimum of 20 mil build on top of the actual strips. When basically we do this, it would be probably the first coat would be with an aggregate, second coat would be to smooth it off and to get all the right levels. Obviously in this particular scenario, there's a very levels are basically everywhere, so it's going to take a bit more time and effort and probably a bit more material to get it right. As long as we maintain a minimum of 20 mil on top of the actual strips for everything to work. After all areas have dried, engineers will re-inspect the area to make sure everything is okay. So we've got here the second bedroom. Some areas where you can see I've added extra wire where I see fit. So we come to here, that's continuing to this potted over here. And you can see here, I've added an extra wire to link these four together. And then basically that loops around, and each loop, so if one fails, another one picks up. So there's zero room for failure. This is the second bit. This is basically the common area leading to the bathroom and the hallway. We've added more strips here, and as you can see, the potted connections over here. Potted connection near the actual front door. Going into the main bedroom. All areas doing, and I'll show you in a sec how it reads on the actual multimeter. Obviously my multimeter is digital, so it basically picks up the way it should. As you can see here, I've put an extra loop here where I see fit. If one fails, another one picks up. In this room alone there's three. Main bedroom has 3 potable connections. Second bedroom has 3 potable connections. Hallway has 1 near the front door. As you look down the hallway, pretty much towards in front of the bathroom, there's another potable connection here. Wires running on both sides, leading into under the linen cupboard. There's another potable connection under the wood here, and we've put an extra loop leading onto the actual lounge area, leading towards the lounge area, towards the kitchen. There's one on your right, there's one on the left. But with the solder, guys, each solder is basically, it is silver solder. Don't be shy using the flux to make sure all connections are good. As you can see here with the double sheathed gel coated is basically thing, and that protects the actual wire alone, because naturally when you run the epoxy in the actual wire, naturally builds up heat as it's drying. So this protects the actual wire itself as well. As you can see here, we've left one area so you can see it properly before it got sprayed with zinc. So you can see what it looks like. There's another area here. So in the lounge room, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes exposing the actual metal. In the actual lounge room, we've exposed the actual mesh and the 16 mil bars. Some areas had 12 wires, obviously, naturally, because you've got cantilevered slabs. As we said before, now we're in a stage where, as we said, scenario in this particular unit, it is the 4th story up. So we have to basically estimated nearly 2 tonne of material. and around 2 to 3 days to finish off the actual surface of the floor. The Ardex primer gets put down beforehand, so we'll make sure we get bond strength. But overall recommendation, in future reference for the second job that we basically do, or future reference of other jobs, it is highly recommended for the floor to be honed down. One, you get better reaction with the paste and the zinc strips to the actual slab. And yeah, with the wiring I've experienced with this, we're getting really good readings with the actual multimeter, and it reads pretty well. As you can see here, prime example with the actual multimeter. I turn it on. If I take it from the rear to the actual strip, I'll put it on MV, obviously. That's from the actual point itself. Then we check it from the actual rod. Oh, poking a wire. Beautiful, beautiful readings within. I'll do a couple for you so you get to understand. And usually we do this sort of check throughout the actual job after the straps have been put down to make sure some people don't have this typical digital multimeter. This one's digital, so it makes a sound. If it's basically not earthed out, you'll get, basically it'll show you that it doesn't work, or there's a break point in somewhere in the actual line. When we do the holes, we always extend the wiring on the multimeter to get a better result, to make sure that the steel underneath has been hooked up together properly. We'll check in this area here as well, in the actual lounge room, and then we'll do a couple of more checks in the actual lounge room's all good. All straps continually together. By the way, guys, when basically it comes staged to all the prefabricated portable connections are made, basically a licensed electrician is recommended to basically put all these together and solder the actual wire, which has been prefabricated by myself. I made the portable connections as well for it. And if you're unsure, you always can be guided by the actual engineers itself. It doesn't matter which strap I go, there's basically all round hallway, all areas in hallway done, main bedroom. It's beautiful. There is every area and every aspect is connected. It's better be safe than sorry. Connect all areas to make it right. Because once it's covered for good. Main bedroom done. As we go into the second room, and as you can see, the solder points of areas that's been done with a couple exposed, so you can see. Average timing, if for future reference, if to be done right in this sort of scenario, in this sort of job, from start to finish, you're looking at around 3 weeks. All areas, all aspects going continually in perfect order. Now, obviously, we basically all photo evidence and video to be sent to engineer. all holes to be built with the high build epoxy, with the HP40. And then basically apply the floor leveling and pretty much the job is completed. Surface, they can apply any surface they like. If the people want to put carpet, floating floors, timber, it's really up to them how they want to do it. As long as at the end of the day we apply our application minimum of 20 mil on top of the existing straps itself. Running the laser level in this particular unit, some areas may end up having 40 mil, some areas a minimum that's 20 mil. Alright guys, I'll talk to you on the next job. Thank you.